thank you. I hate these tables. Like if anybody comes by my table where I sign, I just hate the stuff that stops me from connecting to you. Okay. I know, right? What's going on, guys? Has this been a good convention? It's been nice. I mean, I grew up in Detroit, so I was in Windsor all the time because you can drink at 18 years of age in Canada. And then we came up here a few times with Caravana, and it was always beautiful. And I just hadn't been back in a long time, so it's a little chilly here. It's like, it should be like 85,000 degrees right now, shouldn't it? Like the humidity should be as high as the temperature.
It's cooler than normal.
It's cooler than normal. This is freaking strange. Canadians. But it's so nice. It's really nice to be back, and you guys are so warm and just awesome all the time.
Well, I'm pretty sure they love you.
Thanks for having me.
So how many of you guys have seen Arrow? And how about Dexter? And how about Blue Bloods? You guys want to get ready now? Some questions?
Well, listen, you know there's a big explosion that happened at the end of season 5. If you don't know, now you know.
You look fine.
Well, I'm okay, but I hope you don't like Felicity. I do that. I say that at my booth, like people come sign, and they'll be like, "Oh, David, we're so happy to see you. You're so lovely. Oh my God, I hope you survive that island. I hope you survive." I'm like, "Yeah, I survived, but I hope you don't like Felicity." They're like, "I don't." They just go pale all of a sudden.
Someone else about Oliver?
They know Oliver survives, and maybe shows Arrow. I don't know. He was on the boat. I mean. Do you watch the show? No, Felicity's fine. Everybody's fine. That was awesome. So what's up? Let's get into it.
No, seriously, you guys got questions? So before we take some fan audience questions, I have a quick question for you. You did mention earlier that you possibly might be directing in the next season. Is that right?
You know, in all seriousness, the show kind of took, how do I put this? I think in seasons, up until last season, I felt season 2 was the strongest season. I felt it was a very strong season. Manu Burnett, I think is probably our greatest nemesis. I think he's a wonderful actor, and Deathstroke has just been great. And I think some of 3 and 4 kind of got away from, I thought, what made season 2 and 1 so great. Though seasons 3 and 4 were really good too. I think we kind of got into the mystical and the magic, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I thought, and a lot of people did, you know, that maybe that was more of a Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, Supergirl type of, more of their story, more of their wheelhouse. And I think season 5 kind of got back to the nuts and bolts kind of gritty thing that made Arrow so great in 1 and 2. And a big part of that was because of a great fight choreographer, now director, now producer named James Bamford. And Bam Bam, as we affectionately call him. And he was really terrific last year. He directed a number of episodes, and you always know which ones he directed. Just the action goes kind of through the roof. He does a lot of one-ers, in which one-ers meaning that there are no cuts, right? You see a fight scene, and it's one shot. It's going through walls or going up. So there's a big crane. I mean, just beautiful shots. Anyway. I shadowed him, and basically shadowing means that you just kind of follow a director around for an episode. And from the beginning, from pre-production to post-production. And I followed him around for 601, the beginning part of this season. And I went up to Vancouver from LA 3 weeks before we started. And I mean, we were on the set when it was dark, just on our iPads, working out the scenes and blocking the scenes. And it was really an incredible experience. So I shadowed him, And there's another wonderful director named John Baring, who I'll be shadowing a little bit later on in the season. So we'll see what happens with that. I mean, it's not set in stone that means I'll be directing, but those are the steps, because it's just a wonderful muscle. It's kind of different directing your friends and your peers. You know, I can only imagine saying, Oliver, I think you should try something else. And he says, no, David, I think I did what I'm going to do. I can already see that happening.
Would you guys like to see him direct an episode?
I would love it. So we'll see, from your applause to God's ears, right? So we'll see what happens.
And we know obviously there are going to be lots of changes after what happens on the island that you can't talk about, but one of the sort of mainstays of the show is the relationship between Diggle and Oliver. And we know there's going to be a little bit of a roller wrestle with that.
There is. Diggle, you know, I've said this already in San Diego at the Comic-Con. So Diggle comes out of it. I mean, he survives this. And I've said it already publicly, so I'm saying it again. And, but there's some things there's a price to pay for that. And what he has to experience affects the whole team, his family, his relationship with Lila. So this is, it's long-reaching. And and there's a bit of a role reversal. We saw some of that last season, or season before last, when he was dealing with his brother. You saw kind of Oliver kind of step into the role of mentor a bit. As these issues get very cloudy on Arrow, right, when family gets involved.
Right.
So, but now Diggle's he's gonna make some choices that we've really never seen him make. And he's gonna meet Oliver in a way he hasn't needed him before. So this, you know, the bromance continues. Though the bromance will it'll be tested. Yeah, it'll be tested. And it should be, because brothers, that's what happens to brothers, right? They fight and they love each other and fight and love each other. So, and it makes good drama. This is a 23 episode show, right? It was a long season. So there's a lot of story.
And how about Diggle and Lila? Do you guys like them?
Yeah. I tell you something. I love my little boy JJ. But I really miss baby Sarah.
Yeah! We did too!
I do. You know, any and every time I made my wife, Lila, made a choice as actors that maybe the director didn't like, they'll just cut away to baby Sarah. And she'll make some funny little nod or a cute little gesture and just be like, oh! She was awesome. She was brilliant.
She was so cool. I
She
loved her
was.
when she was riding the motorbike.
I know, she was just like, whatever. People shooting, whatever. No, she was great. But you know, we have to get into that. We're going to continue that 800-pound gorilla, or 800-pound elephant, I should say, that's in the room between that relationship. In that, you know, she's Amanda Waller, right? The new Amanda Waller, and her husband is a vigilante. So that whole, how we walk this line of our distribution of justice is a sticking point in their marriage. So I think that we're going to continue to explore that.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Can't wait. So guys, if you want to stick your hands up and we can...
Hi guys, I can't see you on the other side of the pole. I don't know, don't you hate that?
Who should we choose?
What do you, just choose, yeah.
My question is, during your signing, you mentioned that Diggle was actually supposed to be Jon Stewart.
Yeah.
So now that it's an Arrowverse and we know there's multiple universes, would you like to see him become the Green Lantern?
Well, you know what's funny is that there are multiverses and there are doppelgangers. Hello. So I don't know. I would love to see that. I mean, I don't know. It's all that stuff. Honestly, this is all serious. It's so political. Like all that stuff is really political. Every single character that ever appears on Arrow has been vetted through so many different chains way above me and Steven's head that, you know, we just go like, whatever. I mean, when we start talking to the executives and they have to jump through hoops and the executives above them have to jump through hoops, it's just, you just never know. So yeah, I would love to put on a power ring. Are you kidding me? For sure. But it would be in another universe if it ever happened.
Yeah, we've seen Anton Diggle as well.
We haven't seen his dog again, and you know, they've talked about Diggle's parents this season, and there's been talk, I don't know if it's going to happen, of Carl Weathers. I don't know if that ever happened. I have no idea, but there's just been talk of that. It may or may not happen. But Carl Weathers, if you're listening.
Okay,
Yeah.
next question. Over here, gentleman in the red.
Do you have a wish list of villains and heroes that you guys never brought but you want to see?
Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne. Okay. Not Batman. Just Bruce Wayne. I mean, I want to see these two, well, one billionaire, one used to be a billionaire, just sit across the table from each other. And where the heck is Bruce Wayne? You know, like, is he part of the league? Did he just leave the league? Is he a child who just lost his parents? Where is he? And I know in canon, like, the Arrow is kind of the older stalwart, right? He's the older guy that's kind of shepherding Bruce Wayne. And so it'll be interesting to see if maybe he just left the league or something, and he's this young guy who's doing his own brand of justice in Gotham City, and we have to run in with him. I mean, I would love that. And Steven has his own kind of vision of where Bruce Wayne is too.
Oh, yeah.
He may not have publicly said that, but has he?
No. I think the only thing he said is that he would like to sort of pass Bruce Wayne, like, as they're sort of entering a building, coming out. Is that right? You guys heard this?
No, there's something very specific he wants to do with Bruce Wayne.
You have to tell more.
Yes. I can't, because that's his. I can't tell his secret, but it's a great idea that he has for Bruce. I thought he publicly said it, so I'm glad you guys told me. You guys are really honest. Because if I were you, I would say, oh yeah, he told us. Like, oh yeah, good. So this is what he said. So it's a really great idea, though.
You're teaching them to be devious.
Yeah.
All right, next question. Green arrow over here. Okay, guys, can you hear us in the back, or do you need me to repeat the question?
Good.
You're good? Okay, fantastic. All right.
Stephen has done the salmon ladder many times.
Yeah.
Have you ever actually tried it?
Yeah, I posted it. Steven challenged me about 2 years ago publicly to do the salmon ladder.
Yeah.
So I did it and I posted it, and I said something like, I looked at the camera and posted a little caption that said, so now what, Cap, or something like that. And it's floating around there. But yeah, I did it.
I want to see Slade do it. I want to see Manu Bennett do it. Do you guys want to see that?
I don't want to see that.
I do.
I would like to see Manu do it in the costume but without the helmet.
Yeah.
To watch Dexter do it.
With the hat.
Yeah, with the hat. All the way in the back. You waving your hands kind of like that. Yeah. Yes. I know exactly who he is. But any hints? Here's a hint. We have a cauldron of almost like a Legion of Doom this year in terms of baddies. And as you begin to look at the baddies that develop this season, understand this. Each character has one. So each of these baddies belong to one of us. So
See, you wanted to be devious.
I know, like, it was yours. I know. She gave like this total slide look when she said it. So all these baddies, we get one. And Steven's interesting because, or Oliver's interesting because he probably is going to have one for Oliver and one for Eric. Which would be interesting. I think he said that too.
Yeah, he did.
He did. Yeah, that's a big one. Yeah. Yep.
So, since there's so much, magic going on in there, it's not totally outside the realm of body swap episode of Arrow. So, who would you have the most fun portraying? And who do you think Dave would have the most fun kind of like pretending to be them?
Let's see. I would like, within the Arrowverse, who would I like to play? Or just period?
You can pick anything.
Anything?
Or you can pick the Arrowverse.
Well, my favorite character, David's favorite character, I'm Moon Knight. I love Moon Knight. Yeah. If you don't know who he is, you should know who he is. And Diggle would probably be Arrow. Yeah. Which, by the way, is going to be very interesting come the first few episodes of the season. There's another big nugget. I'll give him away, man. I get called like David, shut up. Like I can't help it, they're so cute!
Thank you. Keep it coming.
Let's see. Check it out.
Okay, so we've learned a lot about the other characters on the show. You've mentioned that your parents are going to make an appearance this year sometime.
Hopefully, yes.
When are we going to find a little deeper into your past? I know you were in the military, but we'd love to hear a lot more about Dig and his past and what's going on, a little bit more about the relationship you had with your brother.
Yeah, where is his brother's wife? Where's my nephew? I mean, there's a whole lot of story to tell with Diggle, right?
You're too good of a character not to want to know.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. That's important. You know, I don't have a direct answer for that. There's always at the beginning of the season kind of a, you know, we talk to the producers a lot, and they always kind of give us an outline as to what they want to do with the characters, where they want to take us, what they want to reveal, and a lot of Diggle has been in, you know, and for good reason, has been in service of the hero, Oliver, and is to really kind of, he's kind of been, and this is the honest to God truth. This is exactly what I told Mark Guggenheim at the beginning of this year. I said that Oliver is now a full-fledged superhero. Not that he wasn't before, but he was a murderer in season 1. And if Diggle and Felicity wasn't there, then he would either be dead or on the run, right? Like really on the run. So Diggle and Felicity really were the pieces. And the deaths of Canary, the deaths of Tommy, his mother, these things kind of moved our hero to a place where he started to abandon the killing people and really became a hero, put the burden of that on his shoulders. And he became this full-fledged superhero. And the characters, and Diggle really fit this a lot more than Felicity, was really kind of an Obi-Wan or almost a Yoda type of thing, right? In the sense that his purpose was to guide, among other things, guide our hero into this full-fledgedness. He was more mature. He had already been through his catharsis with the island. He had dealt with his demons. He was married once, twice as a child. He was probably 5 years more advanced than just philosophically than our main character. But now our character's there. Oliver's there. And I'm not, you know, and I'm really, you know, these are things producers really say, but I think we can really observe Oliver and say that he's fully fledged Green Arrow, right? So what do you do with a character like Diggle now in cinema? You kill him. No, honestly, this is what happens to the Yodas. This is what happens to the big Kenobis, right? And that's the thing that takes your hero to the next level, because this death that you avenge or whatever. And me and Mark were having this conversation about it. And he said, well, number one, you're never going to die. He said, but I totally understand what you're saying. Either you do something with that character or you change him by making something happen to him, right? Dramatically. This is really going into just storytelling and it's long and drawn out and kind of arduous the way this process is done. But as they begin to outline where this character goes, it's either you do that with a character like Diggle, or you change that character, right? You make something happen to that character that you go like, wow, he's never experienced that before. What's happening to him? So you're going to see, and I said this at Comic-Con in San Diego, something's going to happen to Diggle this year, this season. And it's not just some things are going to occur in Diggle that's never happened before. And Diggle's going to change. And that's going to affect the relationship with his wife, with his family, with his friends. And he's still him at the core, and and that makes a great arc for us to get back to. But you're going to see some real changes that he has to experience, going beyond Canary's death, beyond killing his brother, beyond Oliver kidnapping his wife. All those things are going to probably pale in comparison to the things that Diggle experiences this season. So, answering to your question, some of this stuff will connect us to his past. But most of it is about what's happening to Diggle presently and in the future. So this is going to be a big season for Diggle. That was a long-winded answer, but good question.
Thanks forever. Thank you.
Flash.
What are your favorite Diggle lines, like one-liners again?
Oliver, don't. Jesus Christ. Just one. I may be getting the quote wrong, you guys can believe it, but it's something like Diggle said, secrets like weights, the more you have, the harder it is to move. And that's a really good one. Just because Diggle is such a moral person, and I look up to him personally, me as an actor. And so that was one that meant something to me personally, right? Because everyone has his secrets and everyone kind of deals with their own truth in certain ways. So that was something that meant, when I read that in the script, when Diggle said that, I was like, kind of took a little breath out of me, like, wow, secrets are like weights, right? The more you have them, like it really is harder to move. Like that was so profound to me.
Yeah, let them out.
Yeah, let them out. And it becomes easier, right? Once you let them out. Oh, you're saying, she's like, no, let out the arrow secrets right now so you can breathe easier, David. No, David, really, please, you let the secrets out. But those two are probably my favorite. Yeah.
Over here. Yep.
First off, David, it's great having you here. Thanks for coming to Toronto.
Yeah.
I got a two-part question. First off, what were your thoughts about when Stephen Amell was at SummerSlam wrestling? And two, have you ever thought about joining him for an Arrow tag team?
That'd be great. I wouldn't mind that. But he and I kind of talked about that, and with Cody. Like, what if Cody showed up at one of the cons, right? Like slammed you on one of the breakaway tables, and I came up and pushed Cody. He was like, "Get both of you," and ran out. And I tended to Steven as the camera pushed down on us. And that was kind of like what we wanted to do. I wouldn't mind doing that. I love WWE. You kidding me? I grew up with the WWF, so it's I would love to do something. I just don't know what, there's, again, that's a huge organization, a lot of politics goes into that, but yeah, I would love to do that.
I mean, in terms of the next season, are we going to see, we're going to see sort of a return to sort of more fighting in the traditional sense, the kind of street fighting and that part of the action, or is it, is it going to sort of carry on in terms of the split?
There's a lot of action. I think it's a direct pickup from where we left off in season 5. Just a direct answer to your question, yes, there's going to be a lot of street level fighting. I think that's Arrow's strength, and I think it's important to kind of, what I'm glad we've done is until we get into the crossovers, we've kind of kept ourselves away from what's happening over there in Central City, because having a friend like Barry, it's like, oh, Barry, I need you to save all my friends on the island right now. It's like, and he doesn't, you know what I mean? He just doesn't. So I think it's smart that they kind of distance themselves a bit in the writing from that. But yeah, there'll be a lot of street level fighting, for sure.
I think we're there before, so this side.
Where are we going?
Purple top? Yeah.
Hey!
Is there going to be any more Constantine?
Oh yeah, right? These are great producers' questions. I would love that, but I don't know. It's funny. I think someone asked me this earlier at my table. They're like, you said a couple of seasons ago that we'll see more of what's happening with the helmet, right? And what can it do? And we never saw it. And I asked the producers about that as well, and this is the answer I got. It was like before, there was a great scene in Flash between me and Cisco where he's asked me, how do you like the new helmet? And I'm like, I need some tweaks, and he's like, I'll work on it, right? So we see that the helmet was a Star Lab creation. And now since there's a Smoke Enterprises coming up, and you know, there's stuff happening with Curtis and Felicity in terms of what they're creating and the T-spheres and other things. There's been a conversation like, well, maybe the helmet came out of that. You know, came out of this kind of conglomerate creation between Felicity and Curtis. So it kind of stalled what we would see with the helmet. So as far as Constantine, it's like, I've heard, yes, we want to bring him back. And this stuff kind of gets mixed up in other decisions that are so far above me and Steven. Like the thing that with the helmet, like I didn't know that until I asked the producer what's happening with the helmet. They're like, oh, well, by the way, we thought about that. It wasn't Star Lab's creation, but we're thinking about doing this. So the same with Constantine, because I'll hear, will Constantine be part of our universe? And then all of a sudden, I'll ask the producer, and they're like, well, you know, we thought about Constantine, and we don't know because of A, B, C, D. So my answer is, I have no idea. And I probably won't know unless I directly ask somebody like, hey, is Constantine going to be part of this universe?
I mean, I know that he's certainly coming back in the animated series. Did you guys know? Yeah. So maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of returning characters, though, I'm wondering if you can tell us anything about Ragman.
I would love to see Ragman back. And Ragman, I don't, you know, you just never know what happens with these characters. I remember at the beginning of the season when everyone kind of came in, and I was talking to the producer at the beginning of the season, last season. I was like, you know, we're getting a whole lot of new characters, and what's happening with, you know, Felicity, Diggle, and Oliver. Like, that's kind of like the core, right? We're like, yeah, that's always going to be our core, but we kind of want to see what fits at the end because everyone's not going to stay. And Ragman was one of those ones that didn't stay. I never know what goes into those decisions. You guys have something to do with that. I know that. But you just never know. So I would love to see Ragman too.
Do you guys want to see Ragman back?
Yeah!
Okay, let's see. This side. In the red?
I was just wondering, now that we've kind of gone through Oliver's full 5 years on the island, are we going to keep seeing flashbacks of different characters? Are they abandoning that altogether? Or is it going to do like a weird flash forward like they did on Lost?
I know, right? It was all a dream.
Or was it?
Or was it? Yeah. Well, there's 8 more minutes of storytelling, right? Because you have those flashbacks gone. There still will be flashbacks, from my understanding. This is per the producers. There still will be some flashbacks, but it obviously won't be on the island, and it won't be as on the nose, right? Because the A story was whatever it was about, like some Oliver falling in love with whoever. And then it'll be like, flashback to 5 years ago, Oliver falling in love with her. And it was just like a direct match, right? So I don't think it's going to be quite as on the nose as it will be. And they have the opportunity now to get into what the other question was, get into maybe Diggle's flashback, or Renee's flashback, or Curtis's flashback. But I don't even know if all of it will be flashbacks. It may be, like you said, flash forward. But there's a lot more story they can get into. And every week won't be a flashback, right? It won't be about flashbacks. It'll be just about telling more of the present day story.
Is there something that you want to see in the flashbacks on the screen?
You know, not so much. I don't miss the flashback. What I really like about the show, I've said this a million times. What I like is Felicity at the helm, right? At the computers, and she can be there with Curtis now, whatever. And the team out doing the thing. They meet a big brick wall. Felicity, we need you to move it. She hits the freaking button, go move brick wall, it moves. We go in there, we do our Mission Impossible thing, and that's the fun of the show, I think. You know, I like just this street level brainiac over here sitting on her remote control thing, and we go out and we kick butt, you know? And that to me is Arrow. And it gets into the other drama. I mean, you have to have the relationships and all that stuff, but this is an action show.
Yeah.
You know, I like the action.
We do. really
Yeah.
like the action too.
All right, I'll help you. You're right there. Yep.
Okay. So in the beginning of Arrow, when Felicity was first brought on, she initially only had interactions with Oliver, and I know a part of that was when she was brought on that it was because of their spark between each other. So when you finally got to work together, was it hard to like find your click as a group, or how long did that take?
You know, the writers, and I was told this by Greg Berlanti to my face, that what works is what they write to, right? Which is smart, because you never know what works. So, and things are so fragile in terms of trying to put things together and make it organic. You just never know what's organic as a director or a writer. Two actors get together and all of a sudden it clicks. Felicity, Oliver, and Diggle just clicked. It just clicked. There was nothing pretentious about it. It just happened, you know. And they wrote to it, and the more they wrote to it, the more people liked it, and that was it. I mean, it was that simple. As you know, Emily was supposed to be 2 episodes or whatever, and there was something about that chemistry between she and Steven. They wrote to it, and you guys liked it, and it just happened more and more and more. So it's they'll write to whatever works. And in terms of me, Oliver, and Felicity, it just clicked. Yep.
Okay, on this side.
There's a hand right there.
Steven and Emily both did a represent campaign, so I'm just wondering what charities do you want to represent, or do you want to do a represent campaign for?
Without getting too much into that, there's some things that have occurred to me personally. You guys are gonna have to. I don't want to get too much into it. It's like a big cliffhanger. But yes, there will be a represent campaign. There will be, and it's something that's very close to me. It means a lot to me personally, because there's some things that I experienced personally in my health that I haven't shared yet. But I'm going to. And Steven's been a big part of that. He's been very helpful in his endeavors with me in terms of how I want to express this. So there will be, but it will be something that's very, very dear to me, very close to me personally. Yeah. I'm sorry? Yes. Well, you know something. It's gonna. It will be definitely next year. If it happens this year, it'll be great, but this year's almost over, so it may not be by the end of this year. But it's a good question, though, and there will be something happening. Great question.
I mean, in terms of that, having a voice that can obviously impact lots of people and being a role model, do you feel that pressure at all? Or is it something that you...
Not pressure. I think I heard Stephen earlier say that, you know, it's about things that mean something to you, because you want it to be authentic, right? You don't want to be a fraud. People see through it, and people know when you're genuine. At least I think I know when people are genuine. You never know what people are really going through. But I think when you reveal yourself, people have a tendency of saying, okay, I can reveal myself, you know. And I think that's the position that this has afforded me. It's afforded me the ability to allow other people to have a voice that they otherwise wouldn't have. And that, I think that's a great privilege. Yeah.
David, you mentioned that you're shadowing Dexter and other directors. Are you looking at other directors or movies or TV for inspiration? What do you want to do?
I am. I mean, I'm ashamed to say this. I just started watching Game of Thrones. Why didn't someone tell me? Why didn't someone tell me? I probably did. It's brilliant. House of Cards is what I was into, right? And I'm still into that. And it's just odd that, you know, the things I really, really like to watch are so unlike Arrow. And when I watch what directors are doing in the House of Cards, Game of Thrones, And those are really my two shows right now. Was Breaking Bad, it was Sons of Anarchy. I mean, all those things, those shows that really moved me a lot. So yeah, some of the directors of Game of Thrones, nearly all the directors of House of Cards, those are the ones that have moved me recently. You right there. Yep.
Two things. One, you mentioned health. This is the first time I've seen it. I just wanted to point out, I mean, you look huge. I don't know if you're... in a good way, in a good way. You know, I didn't know if you were training for something outside of this, or if it's just maybe aero-based, but I mean, I never realized until I saw you upstairs just how big you were in there.
No, it's not. It is really for aero. What's funny about this, there's a little story I may have told you guys. In season 1, Steven was a monster. Like, really a monster. And not the character, I'm talking about like ripped. There were muscles in his earlobes. There were muscles. They were everywhere. They were everywhere. And we did a photo shoot in Los Angeles. And everyone was there, and we were in a room with in a building with a lot of rooms. And they're all dressing rooms. So just imagine the dressing rooms are lined up, all the doors are open. So I'm in one, Steve's in one, Katie's in one, Will is in one, Colin Salmon is in one. So everyone has a dressing room. So I'm walking down the hallway, all the doors are open. Steven sees me, I don't see Steven. And I just hear his voice say, David! Yeah? Come here for a sec. So I go in. Steven's doing whatever he's doing, but he's doing it without a shirt. Getting coffee, whatever it is. He's like tying his shoes, whatever. I don't even know what he's doing because I'm just mesmerized. Like, and he's like, yeah, Dave, you know, whatever, like picking his nose. You know, it's just, I'm really happy you're here. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be a great season. Like, he's not even paying attention to me, right? Just like muscles everywhere. And I'm just staring at him like, I'm your bodyguard? So, you know, he says whatever he says, he just puts his feet up on the floor, like, all right, I'm done. And I'm like, okay. And I walk out, and I'm like, oh my God. I have to get into the gym. And I wasn't not in shape, but it was just, I was nothing even close to what he was. And I hit the gym so hard. So hard. And I knew what to do, because I have gotten big before and come back down. I gotten big before for other things. So I knew exactly how to take my body there. And once I did, it just kind of stuck this time. And we've been healthy competitors in terms of that, helping each other, giving each other tips and all that stuff. So there's no particular thing, it's all aero.
Well, I was wondering that, because earlier today, I don't know if you guys caught the Stephen Amell panel, but he told us about the first time that he met you.
Yeah.
I want to know what your take is.
Yeah, it was at the Sutton Hotel in Vancouver, where they keep a lot of actors that do pilots. And everyone kind of stays there. So when you go to the bar at the Sutton at any given time, you'll see like a whole slew of actors, right, that are doing pilots. So he was there with with Katie and some other folks were there at the time. And I sat at the bar. He was over in a seat. I just see him. So he came over to me and he said, hey, you're David. Just introduced himself. I said, yeah, I'm David. And we said a couple of words and I stopped and I said, how you doing? You're like, I'm good. I said, how you really doing? I'm good, man, I'm good. And I was like, because all this hinges on you. He's like, no, I'm good. I'm like, good. And I was really trying to get to it, right? Because there was a tremendous amount of pressure on Steve in the first season. Not just to do aero right? But we really were in the shadow of Smallville, you know, and everyone thought either, at best, it will be bad, you know. Everyone was expected to be terrible. At best, it'd be bad. So no one had any idea, except for David Nutter. David Nutter, who he's a director and directed a slew of pilots. I think he's directed like 23 pilots. 22 have gotten on air or something like. And he knew at some point during the shooting of it. I remember standing with Andrew Kreisberg and him in the middle of the street shooting the scene. It was a limo scene that when There's a scene where I'm shooting, I'm driving, and I turn around and Errol was there for a moment, then he leaves, he gets out of the limo very quickly. And during that scene, David Nutter said, "You feel that? You feel that?" To me in anger, we're like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "This show is going for a long time." and Andrew and I were like, "Don't say that, don't say that," right? He's like, no, it's going for a long, long time. So he had this thing where this mojo where he knew. But me and Steven were friends ever since that bar. We just connected right there.
That's the how you doing.
Yeah, it was just cutting through the BS, I know that there's a lot of pressure on you, talk to me, what's up? Are you good? Are you really good? Because I don't have a job unless you're good.
One of the sword over here.
Yo, Dave, what's going on?
What's up, bro?
Not much, how you doing? I'm back. I was Captain America, but I'm White Ranger.
Now you're White. Yes, you are.
Yeah, so here's my question for you. So you spoke of the Flash. How's it working with Grant Gustin?
Grant is awesome. Grant's another guy, man. That he came on Arrow and he was tap dancing and everything. He's so talented. Like he's super talented. And just took Flash someplace else. Just had the same type of moxie that Steven did, right? Just was able to carry a show, and people just take it for granted when they see people carrying shows like, oh, Grant's awesome, Steven's awesome, but there's really something about these guys when they're able to just kind of take the mantle and run. Grant's gifted, and he's so pretty. Now, Flash has some problems. I got a problem with Barry Allen, personally, okay?
He took Sarah away!
He took Sarah away, this whole Speed Force, he got some issues. But I really like what they're doing over there in terms of color writing Barry.
His full name is Dammit Barry.
Yeah, it should be. Oliver's full name is Oliver No. Barry's is Dammit Barry. Yeah. Right there, you've been having your hand up for a while.
I just want to start by saying that for the show Dexter, one of the things I like is that the killers each presents an individual challenge to Dexter.
Yeah.
In your run to a killer on Dexter, did you want to be a killer rather than a performer?
That's a good question. I was just so pleased. I was a big fan of Dexter, and I'm even bigger fan of Michael C. Hall. And speaking of Michael C. Hall, I heard he's going to be in the second season of something. What?
The Crown.
The Crown. Yeah, I can't wait to see that. I can't wait to see that. Someone told me that today. Did you tell me that today? Yeah. So I was a big fan of Dexter, a bigger fan of Michael. And so when I heard about when I was booked, the role was booked, I was like, awesome, it's incredible. And I had never met Michael, I never worked with Jennifer before. What's funny about that is the first day I was on the set, it was a love scene between me and Jennifer. And this was right before Jennifer and Michael got married. And Michael was in Video Village, so he's watching the scene at the monitors, right? So we're in the bed, and we're doing whatever we're doing, and they say, cut. And I look over at Video Village, and then Michael sticks his head out and goes, great. I guess I did all right. But Dexter's funny about Dexter is that every time we got the script and we did a read-through before each day, first day of work, beginning of a new episode, every single time we went to the back of the script to see if he died. Right, so it was like, did Anton die? Did Anton die? So we went to the back of the script. But no, so I was so excited about just being on the show. I didn't care if I was an informant or if I died. It didn't matter. Black glove in the back.
You mentioned your helmet a while back. I want to jump back to that.
Yeah.
I imagine you have a decent amount of creative control over your character now in the last 5 seasons.
Well, it was decent. I don't know. Go ahead.
Is there anything you want to add to this part now? Because it's very simplistic output, but you make it work with your character. So is there anything you want to add to it moving forward?
No, first of all, we have a TA on the set that's a Marine. We tried very, very hard to give honor to our men and women of the armed forces through the way Diggle acts, the way he conducts himself. It was very, very serious. It was very, very serious. And to that end, when Diggle puts on the Arrow suit, I'm just gonna leave it there for a moment. Because that means something. When he does, we were very concerned with how he fights. We didn't want it to look as ballet as Arrow. We wanted it to be straightforward, very efficient, like a serviceman or woman would be, right? We want to get to the end of the fight. So that was very important with Bam, myself, and even in Diggle's regular fighting, whether he has the Arrow suit or not, we didn't want it to look like the rest of the League of Assassins trained folks. So that reflects in the suit. He has Kevlar, and he has a belt and a gun, a smart gun, and a regular gun. So we didn't want it to be what Wild Dog was, with guns blazing everywhere. We wanted it to be like a serviceman, right? He's very specific. He's well trained, and so we didn't want a whole lot going on with the suit. And so we wanted it to reflect his military roots. So I don't think I would add anything. Now, it's interesting that you bring up the suit, because I just had a fitting for a new suit. So there will be a change to Diggle's suit this season. But even in that, it will still reflect his military roots. So it won't get too wild and crazy. We won't see a whole lot of the big deep mask with Kevlar and armor everywhere. That's not Diggle. He's a U.S. serviceman, and we want to stay true to those roots.
Okay, so we have time for 2 more questions. So, one over here. Yeah.
You talk about Leo changing a lot this season.
Yes.
Did you ever, or do you think that there's ever going to be a time where Diggle and Oliver actually like face off and like fight maybe, or
Yeah.
there's a little bit of time where Diggle might turn to his dark parts of his soul or something?
Interesting you say that. I know, right? I would say that Diggle in his current incarnation can't really match Oliver. Oliver's top 3 fighters in the world. You know, Bruce Wayne, Oliver Queen. Maybe there's somebody else in the DC universe that's non-powered. You guys think of anyone?
Sarah. Sarah.
I mean, could Dexter match Bruce Wayne?
Sarah.
Not even in the Arrowverse, like in the DC verse, no powers that's up there with Bruce Wayne and Oliver Queen, Street Fighter.
Sarah Lance.
Sarah Lance?
Yeah.
Really?
Hell
Okay,
yeah.
Sarah Lance. So, you know, there's your top 3, right? And so Diggle's, I don't think Diggle's there. Not even close. But there will be, again, some changes that's going to challenge their relationship. And not that it's going to take him on par with him as a fighter, but it's going to challenge their relationship in a huge way. Argus.
Okay.
Argus is big. Because we kind of play them down a little bit, but they're S.H.I.E.L.D. in our universe, and that's no small thing. You know, they're very important to our universe. Yeah.
Okay, last question. Man waving the phone over there.
Kate Cassidy apparently can't say none to Harvard. According to Tom Kavanaugh, Stephen split his pants in order to get into the suit. Is there any line that you have club, or is there anything with the first suit or the coming suit that didn't quite work?
Yes. Diggle has to put on a different suit this season. I split it. I'll let you guys fill in the blanks. There you go.
Well, that's a fantastic place.
Guys, thank you.